En sus orígenes, la expresión inmunidad colectiva o del rebaño se usaba para la inmunidad natural. Con el sarampión, por ejemplo, cuando el 68% de las personas de una zona determinada había tenido sarampión, a partir de ese porcentaje de afectados se detenía la propagación de esa infección y los afectados quedaban inmunes al sarampión de por vida, cosa que las vacunas no pueden lograr. La industria de las vacunas se apropió de esta expresión y le dio un giro para vender más vacunas de la siguiente forma. Ellos dicen que si el 95% de una población es vacunada, entonces esa población queda protegida y así se logra proteger a niños e inmunodeprimidos que no pueden ser vacunados. Pero lo que no nos dicen es que ninguna vacuna puede dar el 100% de protección a todos los que la reciban por el resto de su vida. A veces los vacunados no tienen una respuesta inmune lo suficientemente potente luego de ser vacunados. Este grupo de individuos tiene una baja respuesta que los protege por poco tiempo después de la vacuna inicial o las vacunas de refuerzo. A esto se le llama falla primaria de la vacuna. Otras veces, las vacunas solo protegen inicialmente, pero esta protección decae con el tiempo. A esto se le llama falla secundaria de la vacuna. Este tipo de falla puede ser por mutación del virus contra el cual se está vacunando, por desajuste de genotipo entre la cepa de la vacuna y el virus de tipo salvaje, por importación de la enfermedad por viajeros ingresando al país, por brotes recurrentes que los científicos simplemente no se pueden explicar, o por contagio del virus causado por individuos vacunados sin síntomas que transmiten la cepa de la vacuna y contagian la enfermedad. Veamos lo que dice el prospecto de la vacuna SRP, la triple vírica, contra sarampión, rubiola y paperas. Se ha producido excreción de pequeñas cantidades del virus de la rubiola vivo atenuado de la nariz o la garganta en la mayoría de los individuos susceptibles de 7 a 28 días después de la vacunación. También se ha documentado la transmisión del virus de la vacuna contra la rubiola a los bebés a través de la leche materna.
The officials tell us that all of these outbreaks are imported outbreaks, that there is no more endemic measles, meaning native to the land. What was here, all the virus that was native to this land is eradicated. So therefore we have to keep vaccinating because measles is still in some other countries and people travel and bring measles back. Therefore we have to keep vaccinating. So we would think, okay, so if everyone or most of the children are vaccinated here, then what are these outbreaks, right? Are they occurring only in those who were left unvaccinated for some reason? Or what is going on? But actually, no. If you look at the papers, the medical literature, you will see that measles outbreaks involve not only unvaccinated, but also vaccinated children. And so I will just read the titles. Measles outbreak in a vaccinated school population. Major measles epidemic in the region of Quebec despite a 99% vaccine coverage. Outbreak of measles in a highly vaccinated secondary school population. And the last one, pretty recent, the largest measles epidemic in North America in a decade. So all of this is published in the journals of public health or epidemiology. So let's look a little bit more specifically into the last paper, the SARS 2011, because this is close to our times and to home. So this is the outbreak that happened in Quebec in 2011 in the spring. And here's a few curious details that I took from this paper. So this outbreak, it's post-elimination era, so it's an imported outbreak. It was imported by a high school teacher, an adult. He was himself vaccinated against measles in his childhood. So he went on a spring break abroad, and then when he returned, he got sick, he felt sick, but for the first 3 days of his sickness, he was still teaching. And because of that, I guess not realizing that how could that be measles or anything. Measles in the beginning looks like flu, really. I had it, so I know. So probably he didn't realize. So he was teaching, and he infected a lot of high school students, right? And the students then infected the whole community around. So from this one teacher, the mode of transmission, and about more than 600 people in the community got measles. The thing about that community is that it had really high vaccination coverage. So 95% of high school and 97% of the community were vaccine compliant for measles. And there were no pockets, concentrated pockets of unvaccinated groups. We have that sometimes in the United States where there are Amish groups or some religious groups that they live together, they don't want to vaccinate, but that region didn't have that. So that's why with vaccination, they keep raising this threshold. They were telling us, okay, maybe it's 70% that we need, then 80, then 90, now we need 100% to ensure herd immunity with vaccination, right? And even with 100%, a few years down the road, those who are low responders will no longer be a part of herd immunity, right? Will no longer contribute to herd immunity. And it's not their fault, and we will see why. The thing is about this, there was a study also that those who were low responders, and they responded very little after the first boost, after the first vaccine, the second vaccine is not going to boost their titers much more. It would be just like here, just a little bit up and back to the background. And why is that? We actually have an explanation. An explanation comes from no one else but Dr. Gregory Poland. Him and the establishment, I guess, are aware that children respond differently to measles vaccine, and some are high responders, some are low responders. And so they hypothesized and confirmed their hypothesis that this correlates with genetic variability. And I guess I'm a low responder because I got measles after only 5 years after my last vaccine. And if they're low responders, they're not going to really get much benefit out of that vaccine because a few years later they are back to being susceptible again to measles. Well, if there is a genetic variation in how humans respond to vaccines, there might be also genetic variation to how vaccines generate adverse reactions, right? Because we vaccinate almost everyone, and some kids come down with adverse vaccine reactions and some don't. So it is reasonable to assume that there is a genetic susceptibility to that. There could be other factors too, metabolic susceptibilities and others, but genetic is something that needs to be addressed. The thing is that Dr. Poland acknowledges that there could be a genetic susceptibilities, right? But then we have also to think whether the reduction of exposure to the virus is a good thing. And I would say that it's not necessarily a good thing, because although we're eliminating the virus, we are also at the same time eliminating something else which is very precious, and that's maternal immunity. And we are eliminating maternal immunity much faster than we are eliminating the virus. So let's take a look at that. And so the majority of kids had their measles or their mumps or rubella by the time they're 15, right? So by the time they are childbearing age, they already have immunity in the past. So here there is data that actually estimates the proportion of measles immune by age, right? And it correlates pretty much as the majority of kids have their measles, the levels of proportion of immunes in the population grows and almost reaches 100, maybe not 100, but close. And mothers, the mothers of all mammals, including humans, they have the ability to transfer their immunity to infants. And they do it through two methods, or two ways. One is through placenta during pregnancy. Some of the serum goes through, and that sort of protects the infant. If, of course, the mother is immune and has those antibodies. And after birth, this protection lasts for about 6 months. It just, those antibodies that still linger in the baby, but then they sort of go away, right? Because the mom and the baby are separated now. But then through breastfeeding, this kind of protection can continue, because then when someone gets measles or any infection, the mucous cell immunity forms these cells, which during pregnancy migrate to the mammary gland and secrete antibodies into the breast milk, right, once it started to be produced. So then you can extend this protection for as long as you breastfeed. And so moms who were born before 63, when the measles vaccine was introduced, were less likely to have their infants have measles compared to younger moms. And this trend was kind of proportional to when they were born. So this is something that is very sad, that we are eliminating something very precious. We will be eradicating maternal immunity with those viruses too, so we will be repeating the same mistakes that we didn't learn from this. Natural infections lead to permanent immunity, and we talk specifically about viral infections, right? But then attenuated or inactivated viruses, they don't. They have transient protection, and that also depends on the genetics, right? An infant needs one vaccine that is 100% safe and effective, that would be breast milk. In countries like Africa, where vitamin A deficiency is widespread in kids, measles is a deadly disease. Kids with measles over there, they have to be treated with vitamin A, and that really helps with mortality, reducing mortality. However, you don't need to wait until you get measles to start with vitamin A. It's much better if you have it ahead of time, because the whole point of doing this vaccination is to protect infants, and it doesn't work.
Dr. Hooker mentioned the Harvard mumps outbreak of 2016, which was actually in a fully vaccinated college population, according to the Public Health Department in Cambridge. In recent years, we've also seen mumps outbreaks in 100% vaccinated populations like the University of Richmond, Loyola University, and Fordham University. Interestingly, in 2010, Merck was sued for selling a vaccine that actually caused mumps and measles outbreaks.
Esta es la sección de contraindicaciones del prospecto de la vacuna triple vírica SRP contra el sarampión, rubiola y paperas. Aquí se puede leer que esta vacuna ha causado encefalitis, neumonitis o muerte a los inmunocomprometidos. Entonces, la pregunta es, ¿por qué nos quieren obligar a vacunar a todos, supuestamente para proteger a los inmunocomprometidos, cuando en este prospecto queda claro que esta vacuna los pone en riesgo? Y ningún médico o médica o enfermero o enfermera primero hace un test para saber si ese bebé que va a vacunar es inmunocomprometido. Entonces, esta teoría para vender vacunas llamada inmunidad del rebaño no solo es imposible de lograr por lo ya expuesto, sino también falsa por producir aquello que supuestamente intenta evitar, dañar a los más susceptibles. Estas son las indicaciones del Centro de Control de Enfermedades, CDC, sobre quienes no deben recibir la vacuna SRP triple vírica contra el sarampión, rubiola y paperas. Personas con alergias graves, embarazadas, personas con problemas en el sistema inmunológico, personas con padre, hermano o hermana con antecedentes de problemas en el sistema inmunológico, personas que hayan recibido otras vacunas en las últimas 4 semanas, las vacunas con virus atenuado atenuados administradas demasiado juntas podrían no funcionar como corresponde. Hemos consultado a docenas de madres y padres si han sido informados antes de recibir esta vacuna y ninguno de ellos sabía que tenía que avisar en caso de tener algún familiar con alergias graves, como indica el CDC. Por lo tanto, queda en evidencia que la razón para obligarnos a vacunar no es para protegernos, dado que no están tomando las precauciones mínimas para evitar daños a los más susceptibles. Los que hemos vivido durante más de 40 años siempre hemos estado rodeados con una población de menos de un 50% de vacunados, dado que la protección de la vacuna de sarampión a lo sumo protege durante alrededor de 10 años. La inmunidad colectiva o del rebaño del 95% no ha existido en ningún país durante muchas décadas y no se han producido las epidemias que repiten constantemente los medios. Los laboratorios usan este argumento de inmunidad del rebaño con una poderosa estrategia de reingeniería social para generar temor y coaccionar a las personas a vacunarse. Además, la inmunidad artificial diseñada por Vacunas administrada a niños antes de que sus sistemas inmunológicos hayan tenido la oportunidad de desarrollarse produce debilitamiento o disfunción inmunitaria y enfermedades crónicas posteriores, como hemos visto en la parte 4 de esta conferencia.